Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed and the Market Hours update for Friday, October 10th. Going to be going over some tickers over the next half an hour. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting day. Did put in the thumbnail and the title that, this could be a shopping or buying opportunity, buying the dip. But also, it may not be. We are heading into kind of an odd weekend where Monday is a holiday for banks, but the market will be open. And maybe we could be seeing a big spike in volatility. So, could be a falling knife, maybe not a great shopping opportunity. Just throwing it out there. Again, none of this is financial advice, as it says up there, just having fun. But speaking of volatility, thought it would be good to pull up the VIX, which is the market volatility index. And we can see that this did spike up over or right around 25% up so far on the day, but was even higher. Currently, it is above 20. It will be interesting to see where this closes. Whether or not it closes above 20 or below could be a signal as to what's going to be happening, come Monday. But also, I think that a lot of times we have seen Friday close, everybody is spooked, things look bearish, but then we actually see a gap up on Monday or something like that. So, a good thing to be keeping in mind. And one thing I am noting here or noticing is I do not have the watermark in the background since I just made the thumbnail for the Rivian video, which you should check out. There is a link in the description of this stream to watch that video. But yeah, it is on the channel. But anyways, before I go over the list of tickers, a couple things I did want to share. There is a link in the chat to the posts. Make sure you vote over here for the power packs that I'll be opening next week. I did get a comment just now that was a little bit rude because I mispronounced a Pokemon's name, which, in all honesty, it's just fun. And, last time I really thought too much about Pokemon was when I was a kid. So give me a break. But next week, I'll probably follow up and dive into a little bit of the cards that I opened this past week and open some new ones next week. So that should be pretty cool. Make sure you vote in the poll. Nobody's voted other than this one person prior to me adjusting the poll. And then tomorrow I will be doing Crypto Corner Sat Stacker. I proposed that I do it as a live stream, which is good. It gets me going a little bit earlier. And also then, you guys can chat amongst yourselves. And if there are requests, I can take them if they are associated with a super chat. Basically give me a little tip. I can go over whatever crypto you are interested in. So just throwing it out there. And also market hours updates. If you guys don't like this time, there are other options. And so you can vote, and I'll leave that poll up there, and I will go with it the following weeks. But next week, I'll be doing after hours update based on my work schedule. But anyways, coming back to the list here, going to try to zip through them here. But I do see that John is in the chat, so just saying what's up to you. I will pull up your comments in a minute. And, but yeah, I'm just going to go through the tickers here and then I will go over them. I'm not going to spend too much time on them, so don't worry. One that I did want to pull up is NEO, ticker symbol NEO. This is one that, the videos perform really well. So I do like to do them, but at the same time, it's a Chinese stock. We're seeing news about Chinese tariffs and frictions between the US and China. So this is why, I don't really like holding it, and I only have one call that's pretty in the money, or at least I'm pretty green on it, so I'm not worried about it. But I don't hold any shares anymore because I started to see some signs really based on the options data. Last minute dumping multiple days in a row, dumping of calls, made me think the top could be in. I sold a little early, around $7. We went up to nearly $8, but now we are pulling back, trading now below $8 a share. So yeah, I think that, I had made a video that performed very, very well, talking about it going higher up to 10. That made me think that that good performance was euphoria. I did a follow-up video following up on that options data, suggesting that there could be a sell-off. And, I got a lot of heat for that. Somebody actually blocked me on X. I'm really just trying to go over data, and whether it's thumbnails or titles, I'm trying to attract an audience, and I think that you could see that with the Muppet, thumbnail for today. Just trying to have fun. But yeah, with NEO, I had talked about it in those videos that we could be putting in an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is a macro bullish pattern, but in the short term could be heading down to sub 6. So just wanted to throw that out there. We could be starting to see that now as we are now putting in, just if I zoom in here, a lower low than actually, is that a lower low? What was the low on September 23rd? It was 677, and we hit a low today of 676. So yeah, we're putting in a lower low. Maybe it's not that significant, but it's something to think about. And the blue line down here, that is the 50-day simple moving average. That's at 625. I have the yellow line here at 515. Happy to do an update on this, so let me know whether it's in the chat or the comments if you'd like to see an update. But I also, don't want to be getting backlash from people if they're upset because, you guys make your own decisions. I'm just trying to share data and have fun while doing it. The next one on the list is going to be Webull, ticker symbol BULL, B-U-L-L. This is one I kind of made a video comparing it with Snapchat and making the justification, the argument that this one actually looks more bearish. And we did, following that, see some pretty big moves down, but it looked like they were bought up. But now we're seeing a pullback. And this is also, going to be the close for the week. Where do we see it here? And with this big red candle, we don't see that much volume. The day's not over yet. But that could be suggesting, especially if we put in a higher low. So the low on October 8th was $11.41. So, this could potentially just be a dip buying opportunity, an opportunity to go shopping because, I might be wrong. But at the same time, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm not in it. I'm just, trying to share what I see. And I think that this could be, rolling over. The risk to reward, I feel like it's more risky than the reward seems of interest. But, maybe I could be wrong. And one of the people that has been posting about this is Free Wyckoffs on X. He also does have a YouTube channel, but he doesn't post too much to it because, he runs a Discord that you pay to enter. I think it's probably a great service. He seems to do really good analysis. Yeah, he is on X if you want to follow him. And, so once again, he's saying this is a much better and smarter long-term, long entry position on Bull. So buy in, whether it's calls or shares, whatever, a better entry long here. He did post this earlier today, about an hour after market open, because this is central time here. But then pretty simple range analysis until he sees this. He is going with the trend, which is to the downside. And so what he's talking about is this trend channel that it's been in, lots of volume over here, but it failed to re-enter into the channel. So a pullback here could lead to a bounce and then a retest, better long entry over here, actually, sorry, not where price is at now, but when it gets up to around 13, if it reclaims that channel. But right now, it just seems like it could be getting rejected and going into the single digits. So just wanted to share that perspective. And also another tweet, I forgot to pull this one up. This is from Orlando, also talked about him on the channel, posted one of his videos. He also runs the Discord and, seems like a great person to follow. And, what you can see here is this is a tweet from yesterday, October 9th. And he was saying, I wonder what the news will be this time for Microsoft. And it just seems like, a lot of buying there. And that's actually some puts. So suggesting that people are bearish. And then he followed up with it today that puts are still in. And we're seeing, a little bit of a sell-off in the market. So I just found that to be interesting that this was kind of a foreshadowing of, the volatility that we're seeing to the downside. But then anyways, coming back over here to Bull, yeah, I don't have a position. It's not something that I've got to be long in. So, I'm going to steer clear. I've got enough things to keep the risk elevated on. I don't need to elevate it any more than that. And one of those is Snapchat, ticker symbol SNAP. This was kind of the counter to the Bull ticker in that bearish or bullish video. Bull seemed more bearish, Snap seemed more bullish, although, we are seeing a pretty big red day so far today. It looks like we're down about a little over 5%, 5.19%, and we did come below $8. So what I had done is I had gotten a couple calls, one that expires in November, one that expires, I believe that's the $8 strike, and then one that expires in January with a $10 strike. I had just two of those. And then I also bought some shares, not a large position, at $8.50. Thinking that, if it does come down to 8, then I can get another small batch of a small sample of stocks and of shares. And it did come down to $8. So now I have a small group, a small bundle of shares with an average price of $8.25. I also did get some more of the $8 strike calls that expire in November. So I'd initially bought at $120, so $120 per contract. And then I just got another one at $100. So I have two of those contracts with an average price of $110. Plan on trimming at like 121s, that's 10%, and then seeing where the rest of it takes us. But yeah, downtrend here that I have illustrated coming from over here. And yeah, I think that this is just kind of, attempting to break out, getting rejected. And, what I would like to see is, we saw this breakout above the 50-day simple moving average, just to clean that up a little bit. Breakout above it, pull back, retest it, bounce, but then broke below it, fake out, break below, and now above. I'd like to see us retest that, hold it as support, and then maybe it starts to take off. And so that 50-day simple moving average is currently around 773. So maybe we get a test of that, maybe like 769, having fun with the numbers. Maybe that's a good, level to get in at. And also should note the 786 here is at $7.82. So there are, a number of levels that could be acting as support to the downside. And also I should note the low here from October 1st was 752. So, really as long as we're staying above 752, just give it a little bit of time. This thing could be breaking out. But I didn't necessarily see anything in the options contract data. So I'll just pull it up real quick before skipping over to the next one. So yeah, this is the contract that I have that I added to today. I believe, oh, actually, no, I guess I was wrong about that. The $8 strike is for January. Actually, wait a second. I'm confused. No, this is correct. Sorry, I was confused about reading the numbers here. So this is the $8 strike call that expires in November. The low so far today was 99 cents. I bought one of them at $1. And so now my average is 110. We'll see what happens. I'm not chasing it anymore today. I'm just going to see what happens. And then the other contract that I have, just one of them, is the $10 strike call that expires in January. So just giving myself a little bit more time, but also giving myself a little bit more upside potential. And does look like there's been some selling on this. So, maybe I'm going to be left holding the bag on this. I'm not sure. But the low for this contract today so far was 65 cents. And if we do look at the data over here, yellow is the stock price coming down. The thing that makes me feel kind of good about this is that while the stock price is coming down, we don't see much going on with the options contracts. So the net call premium is green, net put premium is red. Those aren't spiking up or down as the price comes down. So that makes me think that this is a dip buying opportunity, but maybe not. I could be wrong about that. And then so coming back to the list here, of course, gotta touch on Bitcoin coming down here. Now it looks like trading below $118,000, but really just about less than $100 lower. So far, the low today is $117, $117,665 to the penny on Coinbase. And bouncing a little bit, but not so much, still pretty big red candle. And with that, I did want to point out, this is some of the data that I do go over in Crypto Corner Sat Stacker, which I will be updating this tomorrow. And so I had just seen over this week that 118 would be acting as support for Bitcoin and also 4,200 for Ethereum. And so we're effectively testing those levels. ETH has broken a little bit lower, I think around 4,100. But, I think that we're seeing dip buying opportunities here. But of course, it could be wrong about that because looking at Bitcoin, we do have the 50-day SMA here around 114,575. So it could be coming down a little lower still. And looking at this fib retracement, we can see that the 618 is around 115, 786 around 112. So there's still possibility of this going lower. And speaking of Bitcoin, did want to touch on IBIT, which is the BlackRock iShares ETF. This is one that I do have November calls with a $90 strike. Currently, this is trading around $67, exactly at 66.83 right now. And we can see this pretty big sell-off down at 2.76%, pulling back to the 50% retracement around 66.70. Maybe it comes down to the 618 around 65.50, which does seem to correspond very nicely with that 50-day SMA at 65.46. And so for me, with this, I had trimmed some of my calls up here. I could have trimmed more aggressively, but on this pullback, I have been adding. And so net, even after trimming here, I actually have more of the contracts than I did over here, more of the calls. And so we'll see. I mean, this could go to zero, very risky, but Mike Alfred on X has been very bullish about this, and he seems very confident. And so I feel like I'm kind of borrowing his confidence in this. I would not normally trade such short-dated contracts, or at least I would have taken more of a profit up here. Maybe it ends up being a mistake, but just wanted to share. And then Ethereum. Yesterday, I had talked about this. We want to see it close above the 50 SMA, which is currently around $4,400. We closed just below yesterday at a price of $4,371. I actually was at work yesterday and I looked it up and, don't have the resources that I have with the computer. And I was like, well, I mean, that's pretty close. Maybe it's a fake out. Apparently not. Apparently that was signal, and it is rolling over. Now it looks like down 6.42% right now on the day, trading around $4,090, so just below 4,100. Maybe this comes a little bit lower, but still, I mean, based on the analysis that I did in that 4-minute video that nobody watched, this could be pulling back to this uptrend. Another dip buying opportunity there, so do keep that in mind. And one that I did want to add to this, because it did hit a level that I think we might all be, very emotionally bound to. But GameStop, ticker symbol GME, did hit a low today of $23.41, 23.41. That's Roaring Kitty's average from his most recent YOLO update on Reddit from, a year and months ago. And so I think that we're getting into, floor territory, and this could be a really nice opportunity to add more between where we're at now, maybe 22, as we have traded. Let's see, the low over here from August 1st was at a price of $21.92, and then the low over here when we gapped down in June on the 12th, the low was $21.54. And actually keeping that in mind, maybe there's an uptrend here, and we are getting close to the base of that. And we're also, I'm just going to remove this dang Fibonacci for a second. We can see this parallel channel that I have drawn here. That blue dashed line is just below where we are right now. So we could be finding some support there and not actually coming down to the $22 range. So good to keep that in mind. But yeah, we are, I should mention this, below the 50-day SMA, which is at 24.12. So yeah, and also I think Colin Gladman was talking about this, that GameStop bounced from the 618 around 24.05. Now we're breaking below it. The next level is going to be the 786. That's at 22.94, right around 23. So do keep that in mind. That would correspond fairly nicely with the middle of that channel I was just talking about. But anyways, that's enough of that. I'm going to pull up some of the chat. John's been pretty active in there. And so John... oops, sorry, this is lagging. So John is saying that his SQQQ position that he talked about, he brought it up, I think earlier this week, maybe on Monday in one of these streams. You guys can check back. He was talking about grabbing some SQQ there, and then he said it paid out great. So congrats, John. If you guys can, do the little emoji in the chat for clapping. And I don't know, let's see. If we can do that, celebrate. I'm kind of, I don't really do too much with the chat emojis and stuff. But yeah, targeting the 50-day EMA at, let's see, 530, 583-ish. Been a while since it's been tested. And so yeah, I'll pull up the chart. For me to pull up the EMA, I'd have to like dig a little deeper into TradingView just because I don't pay for it just yet, but probably around Black Friday, I will get the annual subscription so I can have a little bit more access to the tools over here. But yeah, just pulling up the SQQQ, which I am going to note I'm covering. So I should add the ticker to the description of the video. We can see that the SQQQ is up 7.24% currently right now. Lots of volume behind that, so that looks good. 50 SMA is up here around 1676, but he's talking about it getting to around 583. Let's see, 583. I'm not exactly sure if that'd be 1583 maybe. I mean, I think it could be going up to 1687 or 1676. That is the moving average there. But also, I mean, depends on where it closes at because, whether it's because of Trump, the administration, just what's going on in the world right now, the economy, whatever. I feel like, 2 days of silence over weekends, things can, completely reverse. So, yeah, but 1676, I feel like that could be a nice level. I mean, over here did pierce that moving average, but then pulled back. So just putting that into perspective, over here moved up nearly to that SMA. That's around 13% to the upside. And then over here pierced the moving average. And let's see, that's 8.75% up. But then following that, what happened? We saw a drawdown of about 23% before this nice move up. So, yep, very good to hedge. Always good to have a plan. And I guess I should note, I do hold some UVIX. I'm not going to pull up the chart or anything, but that's been kind of my hedge. But effectively, that's just been bleeding for a while. I'm looking for whether it's the VIX, UVIX, SQQQ, what I need for my positions, since I've been accumulating for too long, and I stopped actually a while ago, need to see this break out. And so if we do see, like a gap down, some big bad news happens over the weekend, I could see the SQQQ potentially coming up to like $33, corresponding with the lows over here. But at the same time, since this is ProShares Ultra Pro Short, I believe it's 3x leveraged. I might be wrong about that. And if you're not familiar, the S stands for short. ProShares Ultra Pro Short. QQQ, the QQQ or the Qs is of course the NASDAQ. So this is betting on a little bit of a correction. But yeah, I think 33 could potentially be the top for this. If we do see a massive breakout and gap down across the markets, this would be running up. So very cool there. And so John's just following up with that with SO, our loose cannon president. Yes. I don't know what SO means, to be honest, but yes, love him or hate him, he is the president, and yeah, he likes to stir things up. And one of the things that I feel like doing this channel and following the market has taught me is that it's not about, how you feel about the president or the whoever is in office. It's about how, like, the truth. It's about the understanding of what's happening. And so whoever the president is, as long as you understand how they influence things, how their administration influences things, you're all good. And this administration makes things go volatile sometimes. It surprises us. But, we can be seeing this, maybe it's going to gap up over the weekend, but then next week, maybe Scott Bessent comes out with something, brings the temperature down, and the stock market continues to all-time highs while the SQQQ rolls over. And so John is also following up on Plug here. So interested to see if Plug builds a base at 350. I'll pull that up. I got it down here, I believe. So builds a base at 350 or comes down to fill the gap. Not one I'd like to hold. So this is coming from John, as you can see. Not one he'd like to hold over a weekend if this is going to be the new market conditions. Yeah, holding stuff over the weekend, I feel like can definitely surprise us, whether that's going in the direction you expect and be a pleasant surprise, or go in the exact opposite direction. And so Plug, with the big move up here, holding over a weekend, if if it doesn't matter whether it's plug or whatever it is, if you, let's say we're holding from down here, you didn't sell here, you bought more here or throughout this, and maybe your average is at the yellow line or this green line here, that's great. But at some point, maybe this is going to roll over, and it's good to, like, if at this point, let's say your average is that green line, let's just do a little measurement just to see. Up at the top, that's up around 100%. So if you're not at least trimming when you get to 100%, doubling the value of your position, if you're not taking a little bit of that off the table, that I feel like is like the definition of greed. If you're doubling your money over the course of 11 calendar days, and I believe that would be 11 calendar days, yeah, then that's kind of greedy. So good to be managing that risk, especially with everything, it seems like at all-time highs. There could be a pretty big correction around the corner, but for me, my mindset really kind of revolving around the crypto space is that I think that there will be a top, but I think that people are always too early in calling the tops. They're also too early in calling the bottom. I mean, generally, things just take longer than we expect. And so for this bubble to burst, whatever it is, AI bubble, tech bubble, whatever, it takes a while for bubbles. Like you first have a bubble and, then eventually it takes time for that bubble to expand so much that it does burst. But yeah, I'll leave it up to you what you decide to do with that. I don't have a position in plug. And John mentioning the gaps down here, there is a gap from, let's see, October 2nd. The close on that date was 283. And then from there, you can see it if I zoom in just to make it a little bit clearer, and maybe I'll remove the drawings too. So closed here and then gapped up here. And so it could be coming down to fill that gap. And at that point, I would think it'd find a lot of support because of this other candle here. You got like 3 candles overlapping there. So I would think that'd be some nice support. But it also, if it does come down to $3, the cursor's at 293. It doesn't have to fill that gap. Gaps get left behind all the time. And you can check by looking at the Tesla chart. Go back many years in the past. There are tons of gaps there, and they're probably never getting filled. But yeah, there's also another gap over here. And I think that's like the other notable gap that I see. And that's with the close on September 30th, which was at $2.33. So, while it seems like it's getting so close and was trading above $4, it could be pulling back to the $2 range before continuing up higher or, rolling over. Always a possibility. But yeah, I'll pull up the next chat. I've been streaming for, it looks like almost 28 minutes, so I'll be doing this for a little bit longer. But yeah, John's got the follow-up chat here. Got to assume a sell-off into the close with the uncertainty over the weekend. It's so obvious that the market will probably rip into the close instead. That's a good point. Yeah, it's like whenever anything seems so obvious, it's like that's, the sheep always see the obvious things. And, so not to say that any of us are sheep, not trying to insult anybody, but just like, it's like, I feel like we're all sheep, and, there's the saying of like, wolf in sheep's clothing. The reality is, there is no wolves of Wall Street. It's, we're all sheep, and it's like a sheep in wolf's clothing. So, need to be paying attention to those things and be able to, pivot and whatnot. Especially into the, the odd weekend with Monday being a bank holiday, which I don't know if it's Columbus Day or I forget what it is, but Weeble was telling me that there's a holiday coming up. And let's see, worst nightmare, late starting from the beginning. Glad that you're seeing it, and I'm pulling up your chat here. So hopefully all of what I'm talking about. Did mention GameStop, which you had commented on. I believe you were also talking about Plug, but sometimes I get the chats and the comments mixed up. I try to respond to all of them, but sometimes I get people's handles and whatnot confused. And let's see, Stuck on Stocks on X. Awesome. I like X a lot, so cheers to you. Is saying that have over 11,000 AMC calls and they're just about to print. congrats. So for me, I think like I have some $20 strike AMC calls that expire in January, and I've decided kind of like what I've decided with GameStop and kind of also with Unity is it's like, if I'm holding those and I feel really good about them, be happy with the shares, add more shares. If there's something that really stands out as far as the options data, then go, long. But don't hold contracts with any of those companies for too long because there could be, announcements of dilution or capital raise, whatever it is. Well, especially with GameStop and AMC, and so I've been burned on them, and I suspect my $20 calls for January I will be getting burned on them. But I'm just not adding to them, and so that's how I'm managing my risk. But let's see. Yeah, this is the $20 call that I have over here. It's trading around 5 cents. And I think my average is 14 cents, and I think I have 50 of them. So I could be losing hundreds of dollars, but that's part of the process of learning from mistakes and whatnot. But anyways, not necessarily talking about the stuff that I hold or anything like that. And I guess I should note that I didn't think it was this call, but I do have a call that's further outdated. It might be this one. January 15th. I'll actually just check my phone real quick so I can see what is that other contract. Yep, it's this one. I think my average is $1. I only have one of these contracts, and it's been a while. We can go back. Let's see. It might even be, I'll do 30 days just to start. The yellow is going to be the price of the premium. If we go back 45 days, nope, the highest was around 75 cents. 60 days, it was above $1. So this is where my average is. Again, just one contract. I'm not adding more down here. Although, come to think of it, this might actually be a nice opportunity to buy the dip on AMC if it is to be ripping for this specific contract. The reason for that is because this is a January, trying to highlight it here. January 15th of 2027, so 462 days between now and expiration, and that's a $5 strike, so much more reasonable than a $20 strike. And the premium for this one, the low for today is 57 cents, the high is 62 cents. It has been, it's actually, if my average is $1, it's like, well, I'd like to get some at 50 cents, let's say, just hypothetically. I don't have any orders placed on it, but the low was actually hit on the 8th, which was 53 cents. So maybe this is starting to roll over, but one way we can get an idea on that is by looking at the data over here, the net call and put premium, that I'll just expand here. Looking at 1 day up here, we're seeing the stock price in yellow go up over the past hour or so, and with that net call premium in green is also going up, so that's looking good. But the net call premium so far today is only $134,000. What we want to see is like at least $1 million or millions of dollars, because AMC, as you all know, is very heavily traded by retail, and retail, unfortunately, is the dumb money. And so we can kind of chase contracts and not really see clear, unusual signals in the data. And so it can be tough to follow the unusual whales data. If we go back past 30 days, just looking at all of it, we do see big spikes in net call premium here, and the stock price going up. No idea if those contracts that were purchased then are still being held, but we can see that the call premium going up the past couple days. Yesterday, let's just do this 2 day. Oh, before I do that, over here you can see where the cursor is. That's at $261,000. That's very muted compared to over here where it was like $1 million. So again, it's not really that huge of a spike. But then just looking at the past 2 days, we can see that net call premium going up, whereas net put premium in red is more or less flat. So yeah, very interesting. I'm going to note that I did go over AMC as well. So I'll put that in the ticker or in the description. And then let's follow up with worst nightmare. Was this a Trump-induced dump? I think it might be a China-induced dump, and then kind of the U.S.'s response to that. Yeah, so let's see. Maybe we could pull up here. This is from the Bitcoin therapist, so he's always pumping. Justin, president causes Bitcoin price to crash to 118,000, level I talked about, following plans of massive increase in Chinese tariffs. So I think that this is somewhat in retaliation to what is going on with China and how the US is responding to it. So let's just have Grok do a quick little summary here, and we can see what Grok is getting from investigating the X post. So we'll just see this in a minute, and let's see. I'm going to open the conversation, I think expand it so we can see this a little bit clearer for all of us to see. And so Grok thought for 12 seconds, and the post satirically frames Bitcoin's dip to 118,000 as a crash triggered by President Trump's announcement of potential 60% plus tariffs on Chinese imports. And so that would affect companies like NEO, XPEV, Alibaba, things like that, I imagine. Chinese imports, including, whatever. I've got, whatever, kind of junk that we have laying around the house, Chinese stuff. Continuing on here, highlighting how high price levels redefine market downturns in 2025. High price levels redefined. Okay, and so accompanying images, yes, we get what they are. And so replies from users underscore the humor, with many dismissing the drop as temporary FUD. And so let's see. I'm just going to say, is stock market correction in response to Chinese, it's because it's not capital, Chinese actions and U.S. response. So we'll just see what Grok has to say there. This is in the fast mode, so hopefully it doesn't take too long. And let's see. I might pull up some other stuff here. Let's see. John is saying QQQ 50-day EMA. So yeah, I'd have to, let's see. I'll just respond to this. I'll pull up Worst Nightmares comment here. So given the current date and time, so this is 1:07 Central, is where I'm at on Friday, October 10th, and the context from the X post you're interested in, let's analyze whether a stock market correction could be in response to Chinese actions and the U.S. response, particularly in light of the tariff news tied to President Trump's policies. So the context from the X post, we kind of read about it. Don't really care too much. Bitcoin, let's talk about the bigger picture. And so the evidence from web-based results, and so the U.S. Bank analysis from July 2025. The article notes that after April 2025, investors shifted focus from Trump's tariff policies to positive economic data, boosting stock prices. However, it mentions ongoing tariff negotiations, including 15% tariffs with the EU and Japan, and extended talks with China into November 2025. And so this suggests that while tariffs haven't triggered an immediate correction, they remain a latent concern. And so stable consumer spending and corporate earnings have so far cushioned the market against tariff impacts. But the article warns of potential risks at all-time highs, advising portfolio reviews. And so let's see, I don't want to take up too much time, so I'm just going to read the conclusion. And so yes, a stock market correction could be in response to Chinese actions and the US's response, particularly if Trump's tariff threats materialize and China counters aggressively. And so this is the key word here. If they materialize, they may not be materializing, especially with a 2-day weekend buffer, especially with Monday being a bank holiday. And so as of, this posting, the market hasn't fully corrected, but the situation is fluid. And so monitoring official announcements, China's next moves, and equity indices over the next few hours or days will clarify the trend. So I think this is, the note on few hours or days. Make sure you tune in to Ticker Request Live on Sunday. I will be going over all of this stuff then. But yeah, for now, the Bitcoin dip might be a canary in the coal mine, reflecting early investor unease. So if you're tracking this, keep an eye on the S&P 500 futures and Chinese stock indices like the CSI 300 for real-time signals. And so I'm just going to like that so Grok knows, and then I'm going to copy that link and put it in the chat in case you guys want to follow up with Grok. And so let's just see, John. I might have to skip ahead through all of the comments because I am 10 minutes over. But yes, keep an eye on the moving averages, especially with the QQQ. That could be finding some support there, I'd imagine. Let's see. Actually, I'll just pull that up real quick. QQQ, but I'm going to probably go through these last ones a little rushed. But yeah, I have the 50 simple moving average, which is, I see what you're talking about there, because that's around 583.69, 69 cents there. It's a lucky charm because John was previously, let's see, I'll just pull it up. 583-ish. So that seems to match pretty well here. Because if you're looking at something that's short the QQQs, you also want to be paying attention to the Qs to see maybe, because this is where you would want to see those technical levels, and 583, 50 simple moving average, 50-day simple moving average, but the EMA would also be a good one to look at. I'm just not going to pull it up here due to time constraints. But then I did see a, let's see, comment here from Ben. Benjamin, what's up? How's it going? What do I think about Mara? So Mara, I have to say I'm happy that I trimmed fairly aggressively on the calls a couple days ago. I wish I would have done that with IBIT. But as far as Mara goes, let's see. Let's draw this out here. So this moving average, this retracement, Fibonacci retracement, is locked into place corresponding with the high over here. But I'm just going to bump that up to the high from today. Actually, I did trim another call today. One of the Mara calls, I'm still holding. My average for those is still lower than where we're at now. So I don't plan on adding more, just managing risk as it goes higher. If it does continue to go higher, I guess I should say. And let's see, the high for today for Mara was 2206. So I'm just going to adjust the top of this to 2206. Is that right? It should be lined up there. And so now we're getting close to the 50% retracement. That's around $18.90. So that could be acting as support. And also just looking at the chart here, what do we see? We do see some consolidation here on the way up. Like this is a bull flag, continuation move higher. And we could actually maybe do a trend extension from the lows over here up to the high here and then down to there. And we did get to that 786 around 2162. And it seems like I had previously drawn up this Fibonacci extension, which I would have needed to lower to here. And so that actually brings us, to around 20, let's see, 50, 20, 42. I'm just going to lower it a little bit. So there's a 42 there just because I like to have fun with numbers, and maybe I won't get it there. It's not going to work. 43, we'll just leave it there. But yeah, I mean, this was the 100% extension. So the distance from here to here, taken from the bottom here and up. Multiple days to trim out there. And so I'm glad I was taking advantage of that with the calls. As far as the shares that I have, I'm just chilling with them. I don't have a very large position. But if we do come lower, again, 1890, that is going to be the 50% retracement. I see the consolidation over here, also the wicks over here. So I think that could be some robust support a little bit lower. But then also the 618 around 18.15, or let's just round it down to $18, could be some nice support down there. But when we find that support, maybe we see a big wick up like we saw over here. Sorry, a big wick down like we saw. Sorry, a big wick up like we saw over here, but to the downside, and then a bounce. That would be good. Or if maybe we see some consolidation with lower volume, and then maybe we see some volume push it back up. But it could be going lower. We do have the 50 SMA. That's around $16.78, or right around $17, corresponding pretty nicely with the 786. But at that point, I mean, I don't think it'd really go too much lower than like $16.50 because of all this consolidation over here, finding that as support. So I'm not worried about it long term. The calls that I have for this expire in January, so I'm not too worried about them, but they are $50 strike calls. So that's a little bit risky, but I don't plan on holding them too much longer. I am trimming out of them. And so, yeah, let's see. John has a comment here. Not sure if you follow him, but Blake Stonks posted a nice chart of AMC. Is he on X? If he's on X, I'll check him out over there. Blake Stonks. So I'm just noting it here because I won't necessarily see the chat after I close this down. But yeah, got it in the notepad. And let's see. Celephant, wow. Pepsi stock is really pumping. So is that Pepco? PepsiCo? Let's see. Pepsi. It's just Pep. Cool. This one's taken off. Wow, yeah, very nice. So it's consolidating below the 50-day simple moving average. And I am just going to note Pep and also Mara here, so I know to include them in the description. But yeah, it was consolidating below the 50 SMA. It seems like earnings that was reported, let's see, yesterday, October 9th in the morning, I imagine is what that sun means. And following the earnings report, which seems like they were surprised to the upside of 1.34% or 3 cents. And that was for the earnings. And then as far as revenue goes, surprise of 0.42%. 0.420%, if you will, a surprise of $99.27 million in that revenue. So with that, there was a nice rally yesterday on the 9th, going up 4.23%, and then gapping up today, actually. And actually the close from yesterday was 144.71, and so far today the low has been 145. So there is a gap there still. And something that I have heard about, I believe from Colin Gladman, is whenever you see a big move like this following earnings, kind of a rule of thumb is wait a few days, because this will probably continue up maybe into Monday and maybe into Tuesday next week. And then that might be a time to kind of reevaluate, or, at least maybe now's not the best time to chase, because maybe it rugs you over the weekend and pulls back to that 50 SMA around 144.34. But yeah, I could see this finding some resistance right around, let's see, what was the high for today? The high was 150. That's kind of a psychological level. I should say the high was 150.82. And with 150 being kind of a psychological level, currently at like 149.69, I could see like the open from August 20th potentially being a level of resistance, and that would be at 153.21. As we haven't really seen any closes. The highest close actually was on August 19th, and that was at a price of, let's see, 152.16. So if we start to see some closes above 152.16, those are new higher closes. I think that looks good, but we'd really want to be seeing closes to kind of, secure that this is, looking really good, which might just mean consolidation before continuation, but that would be close above September 2nd's highs, which were at a price of 157.80. So that might be a level to keep in mind. Maybe there could be a double top up there as well. So good to be cautious of that. Hydra Hustler, I see your chat. I am unfortunately, I'll pull up the chats, but I'm going to have to get running just because I got to get going to work. But AGL long, let's just see it real quick. I'll just pull it up and let's see, this is $1. Let's see, what's the market cap? About 400 million. It could be, I don't know anything about it. It's a health company. It is below the moving average. I think that if it does get kind of a boost in volume, breaks above that 50 SMA, it could be coming up to like the lows over here, which would be around $2. So that's like, I don't know, is that a 90% move to the upside or 80%, something like that? So potentially, but it could also just continue to reside below that 50 SMA. And so I would think that the real signal would be if you see a close above the 50 SMA, that could be, hey, this is starting to look good, and also good to caution that earnings coming up on November 4th, so keep that in mind. Tilray, let's see, I am addicted to going over this stuff, but I do have to get running. Tilray up here, in that video, I talked about it going from 150 to 2. That's already played out. Now we're seeing it come down over 17% today, currently at 174. I have to say this morning, I did have a $1.50 buy order placed from when I was hoping it would dip before earnings. didn't get filled this morning. I removed that buy order because the move's already happened. So this is something that, I could potentially revisit over the weekend, maybe ticker request live on Sunday. Although I can't do that too long because I do work in the morning on Monday. And just going to pull up the chats, but I'm not going to look up any more charts. Worst Nightmare is talking about TE trimmed at 450 and then it dumped. So congrats to you managing that risk. I applaud that. And I don't know if this is going to... doing some hearts and some confetti in the chat. Hopefully you see that. And then John saying, have a good day. If you're still here, you as well. If not, I thank you for joining or having joined. And then Worst Nightmare, bin trimming plug. So, yep, always good to be managing the risk. And with that being said, I got to manage the risk right now of being late to work. So I'm going to be signing off. But I will be doing Crypto Corner Sat Stacker live tomorrow. It looks like at 10 a.m. Eastern, unless you want to vote on that. You can also vote on the Pokemon poll here or, football. It's the Power Packs poll for next week. I've been making money with that, so it's pretty cool. But anyways, with that being said, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more streams like this, videos as they come out approximately daily, and more fun looking at the charts. Have a great rest of your Friday, great start to your weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for Crypto Corner Sat Stacker at 10 a.m. Eastern. Take care. Thanks for joining.